Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive all show. All we do is answer your emails. So the show is all about you, and without further ado, let's get it underway. The Pro Wrestling Report Interactive starts right now.
Number one since 1998 on television, ESPN Radio, and the World Wide Web, this is the Pro Wrestling Report with your hosts, the man they call Meathead, Frank Cosentino, and Damian Nelson. Professional wrestling news, opinion, and information from fans for fans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive. David Hero today, Wednesday, November 25th, 2009. And you know what this show's all about?
It's all about being meathead free.
It's all about the emails and your questions and comments.
Oh,
and we will go down the list of those. Meathead, and not able to join us this week. Frank Cosentino, not able to join us. What happened was, well, Meathead was, as you said, he had a meeting with the office due to his antics with ODB last night on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. And if you haven't listened to that, be sure to check it out. It's available on your iTunes, which you can drop to your iPod. ODB, TNA Knockouts champion, was our guest.
He forgot that we have a 7-second delay that has to reset, and he abused it.
She didn't own him as much as King Kong Bundy did, though, a couple weeks back.
No.
But be that as it may, let's get to your emails. And we'll start off by going across the pond to Manchester, England. Cal sends this in, not our intern Cal, senior intern Cal, by the way, but Cal sends this in. And I quote, "I keep hearing TNA mentioning being PG-13 or not being PG-13 on Impact. I was under the impression TNA followed the TV-14 rating. Is this just a dig at WWE, or are they genuinely PG-13? Well, they are TV-14, I believe, as far as Impact goes, but I don't recall ever hearing them talk about it.
I don't either. I mean, they always show the little graphic before the show starts.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what, 14?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah. It's not that big of a deal. 13, 14, well, it's only 12 months. Right?
Thank you for that email from Manchester, Cal. Radon Hicks sends this in.
Sounds like Desmond Wolfe.
I would like to ask, what was the last pay-per-view that neither Triple H, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, or Randy Orton were involved in a championship match, nor being involved in the main event of a pay-per-view? It wasn't Vengeance 2006, because Triple H and Shawn Michaels were in the main event against the Spirit Squad. I think we're going way back.
WrestleMania 3.
Not that far back.
Okay, WrestleMania 9.
It has been a very long time, especially when you add Triple H and Shawn Michaels to the mix. You have to go back way further.
We got to figure Shawn Michaels has been 19 years.
Yeah.
You know? Because he was at WrestleMania 6 against the Twin Towers.
Mm-hmm. Broke out at 7 against Jake the Snake Roberts.
Or was it WrestleMania 4 against the Twin Towers?
I do believe it was 6. And then he had his breakout at... No, I'm sorry. His breakout was at 8. He was in the opening match at WrestleMania 8 against Jake the Snake Roberts. There are two ways to look at this. First, you look at John Cena and Randy Orton, and we have to go back a couple of years for that. I think to 2005. But once you add Triple H and Shawn Michaels to the mix, I think it diminishes the situation a bit. But I do think we're still talking about a very long time. But at the same time, we won't have that problem coming into or going into TLC next month.
Well, no, it's the young superstar, the man, the myth, the legend, the Celtic or the Celtic warrior.
Sheamus in the main event with John Cena at TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. And on this Friday's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, we will go in depth on Sheamus so that you can know a little bit about his storied history, wink, wink, in professional
Hey, he's
wrestling.
been in business for 7 years.
He has.
It's a long time.
That is.
Mm-hmm. Future world champion.
Thank you very much for that email, Radon. Next one comes from an unknown sender. And keep in mind, folks, those that have your name and location where you're from, along with your age, are the ones that move to the top of the file. And that's the reason we're reading this one from unknown, so that we can make that
And
point.
he's from parts unknown as well, I'm guessing.
Is it the Ultimate Warrior or the Dingo Warrior?
I'd say the missing link.
Ah, very good. See? That's right. With the little patch. Hey, guys. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Why do you think everyone hates John Cena? I like him and think he is a solid wrestler with a big future. So let me know what you think. Thanks.
Can he have a bigger future than what he has right now?
You know, John Cena is this day's Hulk Hogan.
No.
I don't think anyone can ever be as popular as Hogan was. Some would say Austin and The Rock may have come close, or may have exceeded even did Austin. But when you look at the business today and what the fans expect and what the fans will believe, I don't think it gets any bigger than John Cena as far as a face.
Yeah, I mean, with Hulk Hogan, when Hulk Hogan was Hulk Hogan, it was 95% Hulkster.
Yeah.
5% didn't like him.
And it was cool to be a Hulkamaniac.
With John
it's not
Cena,
cool to be a
with
John
Cena, it's like 60-40, 50-50. I mean, you could almost maybe say that John Cena could be like when Roddy Piper was the tweener.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, yeah, he was the bad guy you didn't like, but you also loved to cheer for him.
Well, here's what happened. We went through the Attitude Era. We went through Austin being the anti-good guy and being the ultimate good guy as a result. And now we have this good guy, John Cena, basically is saying, say your prayers, drink your milk, eat your vitamins. And the fans are just turned away and off from that. They can't like that. So I think it's women and children love John Cena. That's a fact. Wrestling fans, males, don't like John Cena at all.
1834 aren't cheering for John Cena.
But here's the thing we've said for many years on this program. I've said for many years on this program. You have to respect John Cena. You may not have to like him, but I think you have to respect John Cena for the amount of work he puts in. Whether it's doing the movie projects, whether it's doing... when's the last time he's missed time?
Yeah.
He had his, I believe it was his pectoral injury was the last time he missed a significant amount of time, but he even then came back much earlier than many say he should have. John Cena's a workhorse.
He is the workhorse. He does.
And he's a company
He
man.
does the appearances. He does a lot for the company, and that's why he's being rewarded.
This email goes on to say, how big of an impact do you think Hulk Hogan will have on TNA? Could it be as big as it was with WCW? Because without Hulk Hogan, there wouldn't have been a Monday Nitro. Do you think there's any chance that Eric Bischoff could ever be in charge of TNA like he was with WCW?
I think Bischoff's going to be a big part of TNA as far as the production of the company, because that's what he does. I don't know. I mean, you know what? I was one of the first guys to jump on the TNA bandwagon. I was going to think Hogan's going to be the savior. It's going to bring new life and more exposure. But I'm telling you, man, more and more every week, the stuff that I'm hearing,
Indeed.
It might be another sinking ship.
And we're going to go deeply into a recent interview that Hulk Hogan did where he fired another cannon, I guess, at the ship that is currently sailing, that is TNA. And that's this Friday on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. One thing in this email, though, that is inaccurate, which is this. Could it be as big as it was with WCW? Because without Hulk Hogan, there wouldn't have been a Monday Nitro. It's true, but it's not true. I think Hogan was the catalyst for being able to do Monday Nitro. But WCW, quite frankly, put on a more edgy and a different enough product when Nitro came on board in 1995, and that was what made it successful. 1996, middle of 1996 specifically, when the NWO came on board, that changed things, and Hogan had a huge part of that. But from 95 to 96, that was when people were hating on Hulk Hogan. They were done with Hulk Hogan. They were ready for something new. He was getting booed out of most buildings. And I think Nitro...
That was a Ric Flair company back then.
Exactly, yeah.
WCW back then was still a southern territory. Yeah, they may have done shows in Chicago, in New York, in California, in Texas, and Colorado, but WCW was a southern wrestling company. And that is where Ric Flair thrived. And when the guy from New York, Hulk Hogan, came down, it was not a pleasant experience.
Ticker tape parade or not. And as far as Eric Bischoff, I would tend to agree with you, David, that his place is best backstage, but let's not forget how great an on-screen character Eric Bischoff is and can still be. And I think to utilize him in that fashion would do nothing but help TNA, because Eric Bischoff is very recognizable.
He's recognizable to wrestling fans, but when you fill the TNA Impact Zone with 1,200
Universal Studios
park goers and employees and tourists, it's a little bit different.
There are a lot of hardcore fans that go to the TNA Impact shows.
There are, but there's also a lot of non-fans there as well.
But I think they'd recognize Eric. Uncle Eric. Easy E.
Let's hope.
But I think it's more likely he's going to, maybe initially we'll see his face on TV, but I think it's more likely, given his desires at this point in life, which is to work in the production field and to be producing, I think we'll see a lot less of Eric Bischoff than we have in previous companies. Thank you for that email. Next email comes from Dubai by the name of Babas Nakvi. Just went through WWE.com and spotted a DVD called Hulk Unleashed being sold at the website. What's going on here? Why is WWE promoting a TNA talent?
Because they own lots of Hulk Hogan footage. And why not cash in on it? The guy is, he's the Babe Ruth, the Michael Jordan, the Muhammad Ali of wrestling. He's always going to sell. Hulk Hogan fans will always, buy the new products.
And from all indications, WWE sees absolutely no threat from Hogan being in TNA. I would venture to say their product as of late would tell a different story, but why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they promote? This DVD's been in production for a very long time, by the way. It was always going to be released around this time, so they haven't necessarily changed anything. But they do own all that
for the
footage.
stocking stuffers.
Exactly, and when WWE says Hulk Hogan, nobody's thinking TNA. And I think they're comfortable in that and can be comfortable in that. And they don't shy or hesitate saying his name. He's referenced quite often, not even as it pertains to this DVD, on WWE television. He's still in the intro for all WWE programming. I just don't think, and this could be wrong on their part, but I don't think they view it as any threat whatsoever.
Well, it's not a threat. There are 400 people at a house show.
Yeah.
Right
now.
Right now. So right now they're not a threat. You got to figure they get 400 people in the first 3 rows at most Raw or SmackDown shows.
Thank you for the email from Dubai. As we said at the top of the program, last night our guest on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN was ODB, the TNA Knockouts champion. So be sure to check that out on iTunes and available at pwrshow.com as well. And be sure to follow us on Twitter. PWR Show is our Twitter username. We're also individually on Twitter as well, using our full names. So be sure to hop on board and follow. And remember, Twitter followers of the PWR Show account typically get the first notification of brand new episodes of the Pro Wrestling Report and actually the opportunity to view it before anyone else as well, with a special feature on the PWR website. Mike sends this in. Have you guys stopped producing audio podcasts of the shows? I can't seem to find them on iTunes or anywhere else. I hope they're still available somewhere because they're extremely addictive. Thank you very much for that, Mike. We did modify our iTunes availability. You can click on the link at pwrshow.com, which will take you directly to the subscription of the Pro Wrestling Report, both audio and video podcasts at iTunes. And again, click that link right at pwrshow.com. Get those podcasts dropped to your iPod. We got a brand new studio now, 540 ESPN Studios, brand new. And all of those audio problems have been worked out. We appreciate your patience over the last 3 weeks as we have been moving to that new downtown location. And one thing is important to note as well. We are on 540 ESPN Milwaukee, but the show does stream live at pwrshow.com Tuesday nights, 10 o'clock p.m. So you can listen to it outside of the Milwaukee market as well. John sends in this next email. He says, I was watching Impact with AJ Styles and Daniels in the ring doing the promo to start the show recently. 2 questions. 1, was it obvious that AJ Styles was just kind of awkward when he cuts his promos?
Yeah. His best promos was when he was the hillbilly redneck guy. Mm-hmm. He seemed more comfortable that way.
Yeah.
That was the last time you really saw any emotion in AJ Styles.
And you have said that, AJ's an amazing talent, and we've had the opportunity to have AJ on this show several times. AJ is a great talent. However, you have said, David Hero, that the problem with AJ Styles is what? As a champion. Champions are typically larger than life.
Right. He's an average guy.
Well, it worked for Dusty Rhodes.
Well, yeah, he was the common man. He wasn't the average guy. But, for me, and I'm sure people might disagree, AJ Styles, at his promos at times, reminds me of John Cena's. Like John Cena, it seems like it's a lot of work for him to cut a promo.
Really?
Because he starts out real monotone, real slow. It's like he has to get himself psyched up.
Interesting perspective.
Next question. It's an opinion.
Interesting opinion from the opinionist. Next part of that email from John says, being Daniels is far better at promos and almost as good in the ring, why is he not getting the push that AJ always gets? It seems to me that TNA worships AJ, but Daniels is the far better complete package.
It's the eyeliner.
Oh, he just brought that back recently.
I don't think the office likes the eyeliner.
Daniels has been in the business for a very, very long time. He was doing a lot of performing out on the West Coast and then on the indie circuit and then with Ring of Honor.
A lot out of Chicago he did
Mm-hmm.
with Windy City.
Yep. And he is a tremendous talent, but I think he's in his upper 30s, and while he's still great in the ring, he's not as great as he used to be. And that's not a knock on Daniels. He's still phenomenal. Oh, that's where normally there's a bell or something.
The suspended guy would have gone something.
I think that there's more long-term payoff in AJ Styles. And I think they're taking a risk with AJ Styles, by the way. And maybe that's one of those things we'll see modified once Hogan comes in.
It kind of reminds me of when they put the belt on Bret Hart, when the company was going through that transition with the whole steroids thing and Hulk Hogan, and they put the belt
94, I believe it was.
They put the belt on the guy that can wrestle, that can do all the moves. They've kind of done the same thing now with AJ Styles. And keep in mind, when Bret Hart was the champion during that his first run, the business wasn't very good.
Right.
Same thing's kind of happening right now with AJ Styles.
And we talked to AJ about that in our most recent interview with him. How did it feel to have the weight of the company on his shoulders, given all the turmoil going on? And at the time, Kurt Angle was dealing with that thing with Trinisha, Jeff Jarrett and Kurt Angle. That whole thing was going on, and also Angle had that drug thing, which wasn't a thing.
Lots of things.
So be sure to check that out. You can check that out in the interview section of pwrshow.com. Thank you for that email, John. Let's move on to an email from Paul Caswell. Says, to the point of the last email, basically, who do you think cuts the best promos out of the following people? Chris Jericho, when he was Y2J, The Rock, Randy Orton, or Edge? I personally think Y2J, but my family thinks differently. Of those names again, Y2J, not Chris Jericho, The Rock, Randy Orton, or Edge. Who cuts the best promos out of those people?
Without a shadow of a doubt, hands down The Rock.
There's no competition in that category.
Today, I mean, for me, he's just as good as Ric Flair, if not better than Ric Flair.
I would go with that.
That's why wrestling
different times, though. Different times, meaning Ric Flair in his time, back in the Horseman days and the WCW days and whatnot, there wasn't anybody
there was
better.
no other talker.
Today, The Rock, I don't think The Rock then would have been as good as he is today, and Ric Flair isn't as good as he was then.
It's two different styles of two different generations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Rock by far.
I mean, he just knows how to work the crowd.
Absolutely.
He has them right there every time.
For the whole promo.
Yes.
For the whole promo. Thank you for that email, Paul Caswell. Next comes from Mario, who says, I was watching one of your episodes and you spoke about how bad the business is for TNA as far as house shows. You said that you attribute that to the shows not having the big stars that they have on TV working the events. Ring of Honor has at least 4 house show events each month, and they draw better than TNA. Ring of Honor has a TV deal that most people aren't able to watch and far less know than TNA. I think the TNA house shows are failing because people just don't want to see TNA. Just as an extra note, I've been to a TNA show, and it's very entertaining, but the wrestling aspect is lacking.
You know, that's an interesting comparison with Ring of Honor. But they're
Ring of Honor's been, go ahead.
No, they're more of a, how do you say it? A distribution
Underground
company.
Yeah.
Where they sell lots of DVDs, and there's a lot of the hardcore wrestling fans love Ring of Honor and what they're all about, so word travels quickly. For me, my biggest complaint about TNA is, let's say you're watching TNA on Spike, all right? During that 2-hour show, you'll see 3 commercials for the Raw vs. SmackDown video game. You'll see 2 commercials for the upcoming pay-per-view. You never see TNA advertising on the USA Network.
No, they can't.
They can,
Remember?
of course they can.
They may be able to do so locally, but there is that provision in the contract with USA that WWE has where they have to approve any other wrestling program that appears on their show. Nationally.
Well, when TNA comes to Milwaukee for a house show, locally they should be buying ads on Raw.
Absolutely.
And they don't do that.
Mario, thank you for that email. I would also say to that point, Ring of Honor's been touring a lot longer than TNA has, and I think the Ring of Honor fans are used to being able to go to a show other than watching it on TV. So they started differently. They started touring and started with the DVD distribution and then got a TV deal. TNA had the TV deal first, then they started touring. So I think it's a little bit of a different situation for those two companies. Sam Sabiri sends this in, which should be an insightful conversation. And I quote, "In your opinion, which company right now, TNA or WWE, is doing a better job pushing younger stars?" In my opinion, WWE is doing a way better job pushing young stars. It's not only Kofi Kingston WWE is pushing, it's Kofi, John Morrison, The Miz, Jack Swagger, Sheamus, Cody, Ted, and Drew McIntyre. Now I ask this question. Cody Rhodes. Bigger star than Evan Bourne, you know.
In height, sure.
Now I ask this question. Which company is doing better job pushing young stars?
Definitely WWE.
Before this past Monday?
Yeah, because they kind of got the ball rolling with the Survivor Series, building up the younger teams. They just have that many more young stars. I mean, the guys in TNA, they're pushing Matt Morgan, Hernandez, Homicide, kind of pushing Eric Young, you know, but they haven't given him anything high profile yet.
Right.
Kofi Kingston has now beaten Randy Orton twice. That's pretty big.
Yeah. And he beat him down one time in addition to that.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say I was surprised this Monday night that Kofi actually eliminated Orton. And how brilliant was it, by the way? And we talked much more about Raw last night, rather, on the Pro Wrestling Report on ESPN Radio. How great was it, though, putting Randy Orton in that whole breakthrough challenge mix? Because what did 90% of the people at home, including me for a time, think? Orton's going to win this thing. It's going to be Cena Orton again at TLC. And they knew that. WWE paid a lot of attention to their critics on Raw Monday night and answered a lot of those critics.
I knew Sheamus was going to win. Because, you know.
You've been working out with him, right?
Absolutely. We hang and bang, you know? But, yeah, I mean, I thought it was good that they put Orton in there because it gave just an extra element.
Mm-hmm. It made no sense.
No,
with the explanation, but it made all the sense in the world.
Well, it made sense because it was Jesse, and Jesse does whatever Jesse wants to do.
McMahon.
Mm-hmm. That was great. Jesse was, hands down so far.
You're going to say it? Or are you going to say it?
The second best.
Second best. Who was the best?
You still gotta go with Bob Barker.
Really?
Yeah. Just because he was so entertaining. A guy never been involved in wrestling before, Bob Barker, comes in and pretty much captivates the whole show.
You know who'd be a good guest host?
You're going to tell me?
Carrot Top.
Oh, come on.
People hate him.
Come on.
People hate the man.
He's irrelevant.
I don't think so. He was on Regis and Kelly this week.
Well, then just say David Copperfield. Put him in there, too. You know, that magician guy.
Thank you for that email. I, too, would agree. WWE doing a much better job, as of late, pushing the younger talents and having them succeed, actually. The question that will be there, though, is that with this latest Sheamus push, an accelerated push, what happens to him after TLC? And that's really going to be the answer to the question.
Whoa. He's going to leave TLC as the champion.
Donald Weiner sends this in. Can the point be argued that because of Ted Turner's checkbook, Eric Bischoff was able to be successful with WCW? Yes, Hogan was involved, but the bottom line was the money and success followed. So, with the obviously missing financial support, does TNA have enough in the tank to survive if and when this whole thing does not work out?
TNA has lots of money. I mean,
every month, half the country, I think, pays their electric bill. They're funding TNA.
I mean, it's a big ethanol company. It's a big energy company. They're not short of cash whatsoever. TNA's going to be just fine. Well, the Carter family is going to be just fine.
Well, and the secret to WCW, as you said, Dave Hero, was what? They had one key resource.
Well, they had a whole network.
Several of them.
Yeah.
Thank you for that email, Donald Weiner. And we want to remind you that you can send your emails to us at comments@pwrshow.com, comments@pwrshow.com, or use the contact box at the homepage of pwrshow.com. Send us those emails. Again, your name, location, and age are critically important. Now it's time for the Fan of the Week, Dave.
Bring it on.
Lee Kinney is our Fan of the Week from Dublin, the Republic of Ireland. He's got a little bit of a challenge for us.
Is that like Pat Kenny's cousin or brother or something?
Listening to the show for about 10 months now. I really enjoy it. Seem to listen to you guys more than I watch wrestling nowadays. Me too. I don't want to sound like an ass or anything, but in a recent InterActive show, you guys received an email from someone who wanted to know if there would ever be a British world champion. At the end of this email, it was stated, and I quote, "While Sheamus isn't from Britain, still do you think the UK, I'm sorry, while Sheamus isn't from Britain, but still the UK, do you think he has a chance to be the first British champion?" I'm from Dublin, Ireland. I live 20 minutes from where Sheamus lived. I've seen him wrestle before WWE, and I would like to say that. I would like to say the Republic of Ireland is not part of the UK in any way or form.
He's hot. He's saying it, huh?
Hundreds of years of fighting between Ireland and England has given us the right to be our own country. I would really appreciate it if you would read this email out on air as a statement of the Republic of Ireland being within the UK is really offensive to me and others from my area. Well, we apologize for that offense. It's us arrogant Americans. If you haven't heard that before, but since you're across the pond, you probably are. Our lack of knowledge about other countries is sometimes troubling.
And locally, it's like, being from Milwaukee and Kenosha.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So our apologies for that, but you are the fan of the week, Lee Kinney, and thank you for sending that email in. If your email did not make error, make sure you check it out on the interactive section of PWRshow.com, where we do still answer all the emails that we receive. Again, that's at PWRshow.com. And coming up this Friday on PWR Prime Time, we've got conversation about WWE's next big thing and who that may be. We're also going to bring back a couple of segments that have been absent for the last few weeks. Versus, which is submitted by you. So if you've got a idea for a fantasy matchup, send an email to us, comments at pwrshow.com. We've got an update on the 2009 Pro Wrestling Report honors and our star of the week, and we go in-depth on Sheamus, as I said
Shave it?
earlier in the
That's
show.
what people are telling me to. Shave it.
You had something to say?
Yeah. I'm just saying that Lee is lucky. He got to see a future world champion before he became a star.
Now, last time you made such a bold prediction, it was Alicia Fox winning the Divas Championship in Madison Square
She
Garden.
was so
But
close.
it wasn't horseshoes, it was a wrestling match.
But horseshoes, that's kind of luck of the Irish, right?
Is Alicia Irish?
Which brings to Sheamus being a future world champion. Alicia Fox, her career is not over yet.
Nah, I didn't
But
say
hey,
it was.
listen,
I was
listen,
just
listen.
simply using a point of reference.
How close have I gotten? Come on.
Again, wrestling, not horseshoes.
Right. But Sheamus is Irish. His Lucky Charms is a horseshoe.
TLCW Blizzard Brawl 5, December 5th. Two big announcements coming out last
Huge
week.
announcements. First of all, Bobby the Brain Heenan to get almost the key to the city of Milwaukee from the mayor. And the retirement.
It is Bobby the Brain Heenan Day.
Bobby,
December
literally.
5th, 2009 in Milwaukee. Bobby the Brain Heenan Day was a tremendous thing for the legendary Bobby the Brain.
40 years of entertaining the fans.
And a lot of those years spent in Milwaukee, especially in the early days.
Messing around with the Crusher, the man that made Milwaukee famous, the guy who coined the phrase weasel. It's going to be great. It's going to be an emotional night. Also, the retirement of Armando Estrada, good close personal friend of the show.
Done.
He's
Never
done.
going to wrestle again after December 5th.
Well, look at Brett Favre and Michael Jordan. All the greats come back. But as of right now...
Jesse Ventura never came back. He made that point.
Well, but Jesse couldn't come
Right.
back. His health wouldn't allow it,
Right.
But, yeah, it's going to be a huge night of wrestling. Blizzard Brawl, 5.
5 years in the making.
Who would have thought 5, huh?
Sure you didn't.
I didn't.
BlizzardBrawl.com for tickets to that show. BlizzardBrawl.com is the place to go for tickets to that show and all the information, including the other major stars appearing on that show, such as Al Snow, ODB, TNA Knockouts champion.
Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Mick Foley, Demolition, King Kong Bundy.
Mr.
I'm not getting a cease and desist. You can say it.
Anderson, formerly known as Ken Kennedy in World Wrestling Entertainment.
Who will be wrestling Armando Estrada in his last match.
Blizzard Brawl 5, BlizzardBrawl.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And let's not forget that this is a holiday to say thanks and give back. And we'll see you Friday on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time on PWRshow.com and on Time Warner Cable Channel 14.